Every car promises comfort, but very few actually deliver it. Most people don't think about suspension until the ride gets harsh and the car feels unsettled. Here are the 7 suspension setups, ranked from barely getting by to making every mile feel effortless. Number 7. Basic coil springs and twin tube shocks. This is the setup most cars leave the factory with. Basic coil springs, basic shocks, tuned to hit a price point and keep most people comfortable enough. Nothing fancy, nothing exciting, just fine. The problem is that this kind of setup only feels fine until the road stops cooperating. On smooth roads, it gets the job done. But the moment it hits potholes or a rough stretch of highway, the limits show up fast. The shocks start to feel overwhelmed, the car leans more than you expect, and everything feels a bit loose and unsettled. Twin tube shocks work, but once they heat up or deal with repeated bumps, they lose control quickly. It's not bad suspension, it's just basic. For everyday use, it's fine. But when the road gets twisty or you pick up the pace, it stops feeling reassuring. It works until the road asks for more. So what happens when manufacturers try to fix those weaknesses without completely changing the suspension design? Number 6. Heavy-duty suspension, stiffer coils, plus stronger shocks. At number 6, we have the heavy-duty setup. Cars with bigger engines or slightly premium sedans often get a stronger setup, thicker coils, firmer shocks, designed to carry more weight and stay composed at highway speeds. But firmer suspension sounds great until you realize what you gave up. This setup feels solid the moment you start driving. The car stays flatter, feels heavier on the road, and doesn't get unsettled at speed. But in everyday use, that stiffness starts working against you. Around town, the suspension reacts to everything: small bumps, patched roads, and uneven surfaces. Not harshly, just constantly. You're always aware of what the wheels are doing. It's not struggling like basic suspension, it's the opposite. It feels like it's working harder than the situation demands. The firmer springs and shocks are tuned to handle extra load and sustain speed, so they stay engaged even when conditions are calm. For long highway drives or heavier cars, it makes sense. For daily city use, it can feel like the suspension is permanently in work mode, even when you just want a relaxed drive. At this point, the hardware is doing more work. But what if the suspension could actually think about what the car needs? Number 5. Adaptive, adjustable suspension. Now we're stepping into the modern stuff. Adaptive suspension uses sensors and electronically adjustable valves to soften the ride on the move. So what really changes when software starts controlling how your suspension behaves? Adaptive suspension systems use electronically controlled dampers that adjust in real time based on driving conditions. Sensors track vehicle speed, steering angle, braking input, and road movement, then continuously alter shock stiffness to match what the car needs in that moment. At lower speeds or on rough surfaces, the system softens the suspension to improve ride comfort. During higher speeds, aggressive cornering, or hard braking, it firms up to reduce body movement and keep the vehicle more stable. Many setups also integrate with drive modes, allowing the driver to prioritize comfort or control depending on the situation. Some advanced systems can even adjust each wheel independently to keep the balance. That said, when everything is working as intended, this is where driving starts to feel genuinely polished. The car adapts to you, the road, and the moment, making everyday driving noticeably smoother and more controlled. And this is where most people assume the story ends. See, up until now, everything seems simple. Better shocks, firmer springs, more tech. You upgrade and life gets smoother. But here's the twist. Comfort isn't just about softness, and performance isn't just about stiffness. The sweet spot sits somewhere most people don't expect. Number 4. Multi-link rear suspension. This is where engineering starts flexing. Multi-link uses several arms instead of one or two, allowing everything, camber, toe, and stability to stay controlled even when the road gets worse. You'd think adding more moving parts would complicate the ride, right? Nope, multi-link is smoother and more controlled. The rear wheels stay planted, bumps get absorbed more cleanly, and the ride stays stable even during sharp turns. Luxury sedans love this setup because it mixes comfort and handling without compromise. It uses multiple suspension arms to control wheel movement independently, keeping alignment consistent as the suspension moves. This helps maintain grip, reduces unwanted body motion, and keeps the car composed over uneven surfaces. It's the kind of suspension that makes a car feel noticeably more refined to drive, even when you are not pushing it. Multi-link does its work quietly in the background, without drawing attention to itself. But what if suspension didn't just react to the road? What if it actively controlled the car's balance? Number 3. Hydraulic suspension. This setup replaces traditional springs with hydraulic components that manage ride height and damping using fluid pressure. It's rare today, but when it shows up, it's always for comfort. So what happens when suspension control comes from hydraulic pressure instead of just springs? Instead of relying on springs to store and release energy, hydraulic suspension uses pressurized fluid and accumulators to manage movement directly. That means the system controls ride height and body motion continuously, not just after a bump happens. The car stays level even when passengers get in, cargo is added, or the road suddenly changes. One of the biggest advantages is load control. Hydraulic systems naturally self-level, so the car doesn't sag in the rear or pitch forward under braking. Body roll is lower because the system can shift pressure side to side, so the car stays flatter when you turn. The ride doesn't feel soft or floaty either, it feels steady. This setup is all about keeping the car balanced first. The comfort comes naturally because everything stays under control. Number 2. Air suspension. At number 2, we have air suspension. Instead of traditional coil springs, it uses airbags that can raise or lower the car as needed. By adjusting air pressure, the system can soften the ride for comfort or firm things up for better control. But if air suspension is so good, why isn't every car using it? Because while the ride is incredibly smooth, air systems are also more delicate. Leaks can develop, compressors wear out, and airlines can crack over time. When everything is working properly, though, the experience is genuinely luxurious. The system continuously adjusts air pressure to maintain ride height, compensate for load, and keep the vehicle level during acceleration and braking. You get adjustable height, smooth damping, and a ride that isolates rough roads far better than traditional springs. The trade-off is cost. Repairs are expensive, parts are specialized, and long-term ownership requires more maintenance than traditional setups. It's a suspension designed for comfort-focused drivers who are willing to pay for that extra comfort. And then there's the setup that doesn't compromise at all. Number 1. Active air plus adaptive damping. This is the gold standard used in top-tier luxury cars. Air suspension combined with computer-controlled adaptive dampers. And the crazy part? It reacts before the road has a chance to affect the ride. This system uses cameras and sensors to scan the road ahead, adjusting the suspension before you even reach imperfections. On rough pavement, it softens to absorb impacts. Through long highway curves, it firms up to control body movement. Under hard braking, it helps keep the chassis level and stable. The system constantly communicates with steering, braking, and stability controls, making small adjustments multiple times per second. Each wheel can react independently, keeping the vehicle balanced and composed. Passengers barely feel anything, and the cabin stays calm even when the road is not. It is smooth, controlled, quiet, and exceptionally refined. This is the suspension setup that makes every drive feel deliberate, effortless, and genuinely premium. So at the end of the day, the best suspension isn't just about specs. It's about how a car feels to live with day after day. Some setups just get you through the road. Others quietly make every drive better. So which suspension setup fits the way you drive? Drop your pick in the comments, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, like the video and subscribe. More deep dives are coming.